What's happening? We're live. All right. Doing my first live stream here. What's happening, everybody? Rich from Stickies RC. And I am literally just testing out, doing a live stream. It is Wednesday at 2 o'clock here in Tennessee. Technically, I am still at work. But I just kind of wanted to throw up a live stream, let it go for a while. Just gonna hang out here and watch the chat. Hey, Thompson RC in the chat. What's happening, buddy? Uh, yeah, 30, 40 seconds into my live stream, we got somebody in the chat. Man, super stoked. I was just saying, I'm really just testing out the waters here. I'm just gonna go live for probably 20 or 30 minutes. Hang out here and shoot the shit with everybody. Um, I'm thinking about doing this as a weekly thing, um, sort of random times until I find a good time when I get the good good people to show up here. Daniel, my friend, how are you doing today? Um, So yeah, I have been thinking about doing this for a while. I actually talked to somebody else about possibly doing a live stream, sort of an unfiltered, uncut, where we could talk about anything in general. Um, I've had something I wanted to make a video about. I honestly haven't made a video in like a month now. I've just been super, super busy. Um, Brandon Timlin, good to see you, man. Um, yeah, I know. Since I stopped doing the hey Robert, how you doing, man? Um, yeah, since I stopped appearing on the Monday live shows, and I sort of stepped away from the Operation 11 Charlie thing, really just personal reasons. Had a lot of stuff going on here. It was really just um, since we moved and everything going on, man, it just too much to do. Too much to do, too many things. Um, and Mondays especially, they were kicking my ass. And really Mondays and Tuesdays, trying to set the time aside to do all of that for several hours in the evening, and then getting up in the morning on Tuesday, especially East Coast time, the transition. When I was back in California, being able to do the show at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening was super easy. But East Coast time now, starting at 8 o'clock, and I'm generally not. And I am an early riser. I'm generally up at 4:30 every morning. So if I don't get to bed until sometimes midnight, I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep, and that's we it's harsh. Oh man. So we got Robert. I see RC Birds is now in here. I don't really want to thank everybody. This is totally cool. I was kind of expecting to just kind of sit here. I was actually going to turn over and just work. I was kind of just planning on sitting here and uh, not not really getting much interaction. Gabe, man, RC Basher boy, thank you for coming in. Uh, really cool to see all you guys join in here and hanging out with me for a bit. Um, I was really planning on making a video, and when I started thinking about it, and I talked with my wife, and she was like, "Hey, you know what? You got to go live and talk with people live." About things going on in the RC industry right now, and things that I like to see and things that I'm not so happy about seeing. And one of the things that recently came up was the 18th scale Capra. And I saw a bunch of people do the normal videos, normal RC influencers. They came out and did the videos and talked about how great it was and talked about how, the price point was a little bit high on it. And hey, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that. Um, I do believe the capper came in way too high. I think an 18th scale capper is awesome. I love my capra, my 10th scale capper. It's an awesome rig. I think out of the box, probably the hands down the best crawler you can buy anywhere. That thing will do amazing things. I know people call it a cheater rig, but it's really not. It's just really good. And it'll actually allow you to go do lines and crawl up spots where people, you wouldn't necessarily go there because your normal run of the mill rigs aren't going to make it. So it offers you an additional challenge. But $250 for an 18th scale seems like a little high. And the common thing that I keep hearing with people in uh, the RC, and it really is every industry right now, is there's inflation and the cost to make things is more, and we pass that cost along to the consumer, and honestly, in the same news reports, you'll hear about all these corporations that have record profits now. So, okay, Horizon, I believe Horizon's doing great things with RCs, new releases, and everything like that. I think they're doing great, but I also think that Horizon is making plenty of money. So to pass on that additional cost and inflation and supply chains, blah 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 blah, um, I think they're passing the cost along, but they're also padding it just a little bit. So I think if Axial could have come in with an 18th scale capra at 199, I think you would have been you would have been perfect. And if you're not making record profits on that, but you're still giving us a product that's good, and we don't feel like we're getting the whole fist up there, because it's kind of what I felt like was happening. Traxxas comes out with an 18 scale hard body rig that's $149. For all intents and purposes, why would you spend another $100 for a Capra? Yeah, Robert, and I can tell you, I've talked with guys who own hobby shops, and I know what the cost is when a hobby shop buys an RC, and I can appreciate the fact that a hobby shop buys a rig for way cheaper than what they sell it, because the hobby shop's got to cover overhead and all kinds of things like that. But that to me means that if Horizon Hobbies comes out with this, this big price, and they could have eased that out on us. And I see somebody brought up, RC Birds brought up no ball bearings. I didn't even know that the capper doesn't even come with ball bearings, and that's even kind of a bigger slap in the face. I understand the bushings thing, and I think Element explained it best with their new SE release, that for crawlers, bushings and bearings don't, it's not that big of a performance increase. You're not going to have compared to a racer where bearings are totally important, and friction and all of that's very, very important, in consistency on the racetrack, where a crawler, you're going to be going through the mud and water and everything else, and ball bearings might actually be hindering you in that aspect. So a bushing is a good idea. It's also way, way cheaper than bearings. Yeah, exactly, Gabe. Yeah, maintenance is huge. I know I'm religious about taking my rigs and cleaning them and going through, and I spent like $13 on this goofy bottle of Trinity bearing oil for my racer, and I use it on my crawler all the time because I don't really run my racer very much anymore. So It seemed like a waste, but I used it. Primarily, I used it in the bearings for motors. And hey, how about that? I got deers walking around outside today. Uh, First time in a couple of days that we haven't had rain here, so nice to see my deer buddies walking around outside. Helps me. We have this huge oak tree that drops like a gajillion acorns all over the place, so it's actually nice to have the deer walking around out there picking some of those up, because when I run over them with the mower, those it's like a freaking machine gun out there. um, Anyhow, back to what I was talking about, the bushings thing. I think it's a good cost saver, and I can see where um, exactly where Element was going with the SE was trying to keep the cost down, as opposed to coming out with a new $500 rig based on the same platform. Come out with a $300 rig that has a bunch of toned down things, and it's better for everybody. I think especially right now, everybody's feeling the pinch. Um, I went to the grocery store this last weekend, and I shit myself. I walked out of the grocery store. My cart wasn't even really full up over the top of the cart. It was pretty much level with the top, and it's normal. It was normal stuff, dinners and sides and toilet paper and everything. $232. $232 in groceries, and that's pretty much a weekly thing. And yeah, so everybody's feeling it. So kind of wasn't happy about the Capra. I was excited when I heard about the Capra, but then I wasn't happy about it after I saw the price. And yeah, it was a little bit. I was kind of sad about that. I probably at 199, I might consider buying, an 18 scale Capra. I got my first 24th scale micro rig here 3 or 4 months ago, and I've had an absolute blast with that thing. Built a cool little indoor course over there on the outside of my office here in the garage. I had an old door, so I just stacked it up on some boxes, and you made some cardboard and spray foam and whatnot. And I've had a blast with that thing. It's been a ton of fun, especially when kind of like right now, work is a little bit slow. um, kind of cool to just walk over there for 5-10 minutes or so and just play around and have some fun. Um, hey, Stickies RC and Gaming, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Thanks for popping in for the live here. I honestly, with this kind of response, I think I'm probably going to try and do this every week, and I'm going to try and talk a couple of other people into to maybe joining, maybe doing a Zoom thing where we get 3 or 4 of us on here and just uh, have an RC shoot the shit session with everybody, and just find out how everybody's doing, what everybody's been doing, and gripes, complaints, things that you guys are happy about, and um, sort of just make this an open forum for anybody to pop in and um, talk about RC stuff, and even not RC stuff. Oh, hell, we can talk about anything you want. Personally, I do all kinds of things outside of RC. Uh, I'm a little bit into politics. I love me some video games. Super stoked. I don't know if anybody has played Modern Warfare 2. I see a lot of people out there bitching about it, but personally, I'm having a ball with that game. It's a lot of fun. I am not a pro gamer by any means. I'm just a average Joe. Um, but I think what they did with the what do they call it? Skill-based matchmaking. I think that's a good thing, because there are times when I have played Call of Duty out there where I have gone for an hour or so of just solid ass whooping by like 12 and 13-year-old kids, which gets frustrating. Uh, and with Modern Warfare 2, I'm actually having fun because I get into matches where I feel like I'm doing really good, which is nice. Not getting hammered by teenagers for hours on end makes playing games fun. Uh, the other one was the F1 Manager game. I'm a ex racer, so I'm a big fan of racing games, and the F1 Manager game. If you haven't seen that on the console, it's um, Modern Warfare 2. So you, yeah, I believe RC Voodoo is. I believe you are out of the country. I want to say in the maybe in the Philippines somewhere. Um, would love would love to take a take a trip right now and get out of the madness that is America. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to happen for a while. The wife and I are just trying to keep things going here at the new house. It's I can believe it. I can believe it. Getting out of America right now, I can absolutely understand how that will be like some therapy. It's uh, it's a madhouse here. Kind of why we moved out here into the outskirts of um, the Kingsport area of Tennessee. We're kind of ways out of town here, so I only have like 5 or 6 neighbors, and they're my closest neighbor is probably a good, probably 100 yards away from me. So yeah, Robert, you definitely live on the outskirts there. I have seen plenty of your videos. You are in the rural Arctic for sure. And I honestly, from living in a city in Southern California to moving to rural area is everybody should do it. Everybody should, if you live in a big city, move the hell away from all of that madness. It is madness. Yeah, Northern Lights. Got an opportunity visiting some extended family way in northern British Columbia, almost down to the little finger of Alaska, and that was really cool. That was a really cool experience. Honestly, middle of nowhere is great. I'm not exactly in the middle of nowhere. It's uh, probably 5 minutes or so, and we're in the middle of town here. But our city isn't really that big. It's I think there's maybe 40 or 50,000 people that live here, but everything's really spread out. We have like one main road that goes through town here, and it has everything on the one main street, and that's it. Um, we have 2 or 3 grocery stores, a Food City, a Kroger, some fast food places, restaurants, and everything. But it's all on the main drive here. And then we're 25 minutes away from Bristol, and then we're about an hour away from Knoxville. And Knoxville is like our closest big city here. A couple million people living in Knoxville. But again, Knoxville doesn't feel like a big city, except on game day. I did make the mistake of about a month ago. My wife and I went to Knoxville on a Saturday when the University of Tennessee was playing a game, and it was absolute chaos there. Um, made us feel like we were back in California. My wife said it was almost it almost made her homesick because we sat in traffic for about an hour and a half to go about 4 or 5 miles. So she said it made her feel homesick for California. Yes, RC birds. The silence out here is amazing. Nighttime here is almost spooky with how quiet it is. The thing that makes a lot of noise out here is the freaking owls, the owls and the crickets at night. Occasionally we get a run of frogs because we got a river that's about 500 yards away from us here, and there's a ton of frogs down there. Kurt Sarcy, how you doing, man? Brandon, the family in Ukraine is all safe. We they did have a rocket barrage yesterday where they lost power for most of the day where they're at. They are all in the upper eastern area in a city called Kharkov. So they are about 30 miles away from the border with Russia. They have been they've been hit with a bunch of bombs here and there, but really the missile attacks and rocket attacks they've had there have gone after um, military and like infrastructure stuff. So they've been trying to hit their power plants and like natural gas plants and whatnot there. But where my mother and father-in-law live is pretty much right in the center of town, and then my brother-in-law and his family live kind of on the outskirts where they have seen Russian military sort of going past through there, but they're kind of on a farm, so the military didn't mess with them much. So but thank you for asking. The family is all safe there. It seemed like a couple of months there where things had kind of died down in their area, Kharkov being sort of in the north, and we think mostly what Russia wants is the southern eastern region, so that they have a land connection to the peninsula down there that they took in 2014. um, but yeah, recently, I think primarily because the Russian military has been pushing the Ukrainian military has been pushing the Russian military back a little bit. I think Russia's sort of decided they're going to retaliate with a bunch of missile and rocket attacks. But yes, they are all safe. Um, Luckily, my mother and father-in-law they live in an apartment, and they have like some space heaters there, and I believe they also have a wood burning fireplace that they can get heat from. But yeah, when they knock the power out, it kind of sucks, and in the last 3 weeks or so, it's happened a couple of times, and it's kind of a bummer, especially when my wife, who she talks to her parents every day, so when the power goes out, they have no way, no cell phones, no landlines or anything. So when she can't get in touch with them, she gets a little bit panicked. Um, but yeah, we talked to them this morning, and yeah, the missile attacks were really mostly going after it was going after the power plant. Russians really, they like blowing up power plants for whatever reason they think that's going to help their cause. Um, yeah, I have my opinions about all of that and how the rest of the world is just sort of sitting back watching that happen. Uh, not not terribly pleased with a lot of politicians here in the United States, or most of Europe for that matter. They just seem to be letting Russia run around, do whatever the hell they want, and it's kind of sad. You know, I think I think most people who've paid attention and have seen what's been going on with Ukraine, going all the way back to 2013, 2014, um, their government was terribly corrupt before. A lot of ties to Russia and to Vladimir Putin. And in 2014, they kind of had a citizen uprising. They got tired of all the corruption. And since then, they've had administrations that have come in, but the administrations that have come in have sort of been corrupt themselves. The current president he was a comedian, didn't have really much political experience. He came in and he talked a lot about how he wanted to clean things up, and then he got elected, and then essentially what happened was he just gave a bunch of his buddies jobs, and they don't really know what they're doing, and kind of screwing things up worse than it was before. But the one good thing about him is, he very much a Ukrainian. It's he was born there. It's his family lives there. He wants to help his country. Unfortunately, I just don't think he knows how, and I don't think the rest of the world is really helping much. Yeah, 2 bombs that landed in Poland that now they're already saying that they actually weren't even Russian bombs, that it was actually the um, anti-missile defense from Ukraine, that their missiles had strayed off and gone into Poland. But it's hard to believe anything nowadays, what's going on, whether, personally, I think we're dancing around World War III right now with Russia. And yeah, thank you, Shiki. Um, uh, yeah, I think most of the world is dancing around with not wanting to go into World War III, because I think everybody suffers from that. And economically, things are bad enough as it is. If we start a freaking world war, I don't think that's going to help out anybody. But yeah, that's yeah. I think anybody that has followed along and knows what's going on, I think everybody knows that um, the world probably could have squashed this pretty quick. I think Russia's military has been very, very ineffective. And I think that if several of us bigger nations had gotten together and just sort of done something to slow the military down, not necessarily put boots on the ground, because I think we put boots on the ground and that starts World War III. But I think we could have had some of those, um, you know, drone bombs that come out of nowhere that probably could have wiped out a bunch of things in Russia's military. Probably could have helped slow them down in the beginning, and maybe even do enough to deter them, to get them to just turn around and like, oh, magic bombs are flying out of the air. Robert, I don't watch TV either. I actually don't have television here. I have a subscription to Disney Plus, uh, just because my wife loves old Disney movies. But yeah, most of the time we're watching stuff on YouTube. Um, Probably a lot of the news that we get is basically from the internet. My wife is pretty good about watching news from Ukraine, and she understands and knows who she can watch over there and who not to watch. It's kind of like the you know Fox News, MSNBC, CNN thing here. Depending on who you watch over there, depends on who you get, what kind of information you get. And uh, I can't watch any of it because I only speak a very, very small amount of Ukrainian. So, and they talk so fast that even closed captioning, I can't really follow along that great. But yeah, again, thank you, Brandon, for asking. That's what's going on with the all good news so far with our family in Ukraine. Um, keeping our fingers crossed that at some point um, Russia's just going to get tired and tired of having their crap blown up all over the place, and hopefully they'll just, it'll get old and they'll pack their shit up and just go home. Um, it doesn't seem like the international economic sanctions and all that never really seems to work for anybody. They never seem to really deter anybody. I think because they're not really meant to. It's more of a on the surface thing for all of us. So little people, they can say that we're doing something, but they're not. And the other thing that I've been doing is I can actually point the camera over there a little bit, is work on this scale garage. I've been having an absolute blast with that. A number of years ago, when my daughter was much younger, my wife and I went to Hobby Lobby and bought a dollhouse. And at the time, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. And the dollhouse came in a box that was like this tall, and it was just a bunch of flat wood pieces that were pre-cut, and you had to assemble the whole thing. And this dollhouse was huge. I still have it. I told my wife I will never ever throw that thing away. We spent so much time building it that we'll never ever get rid of it, ever. That the day I die, that I'm still gonna have that freaking dollhouse. Um, it took us every day. We would work on that thing for 2 or 3 hours, and we had the plan was my youngest daughter is actually my stepdaughter, and every other weekend she would go spend the weekend with her dad. And the idea was that my wife and I would go get the dollhouse, we'll build it for her birthday, and then she would come back on Sunday night, and we'd have this awesome, cool dollhouse built for her. 3 weeks of a couple hours every day, and on Saturdays and Sundays we would spend at least 4 or 5 hours working on it, and it took us 3 weeks. So we kept it under a sheet for the first week, and then obviously she's running around the house and everything, and eventually we just had to pull the sheet off and say, hey, look, we got you this for your birthday. Also, we didn't get it finished for 2 weeks after her birthday. But yeah, and it was crazy, Daniel. This thing has a shingle roof on it, and every single shingle is an individual piece of wood that you have to glue to the roof of the thing. On top of, we had to stain it all, we had to paint the whole thing. I want to say that in the first weekend, we went to Hobby Lobby on Friday night, bought that thing, brought it home, opened the box up, crapped ourselves like, oh my God, this is insane, and just figured, yep, we'll dive right in. Saturday, I think I went to Michael's like 3 times, just buying paints and glues and all this other, because we were totally not prepared. So yeah, built this dollhouse out of 3 weeks, and after that it was like, ugh, that when anybody would ever talk about scale garage, when I was like, no, I had my experience dealing with scale buildings and whatnot, and not really all that interested in diving into that. And then like 3 months ago, I had this little spot in my office here where there was an old table sitting there, and I had set it up so that I could like take pictures and whatnot for doing videos. And just out of the blue, I was kind of like, oh, it'd be kind of cool if I made a little scale garage here, and then I could like film stuff in the scale garage, and it would look cool. And yeah, that snowballed. It went from zero to holy crap over the course of a week, because I decided, oh, I'm gonna have mezzanine. Oh, I'm gonna get all this balsa wood and I'm gonna cut up and I'm gonna stain it, and then you have a mezzanine, a little handrail, and a little staircase there. And yeah, I've gone way too far with my scale garage now. And now I've been kind of busy with work and I haven't had time to really spend much time on it. And every time I look at it when I'm out here, I'm like, oh my, I have all these plans, I have all this stuff I want to do, and I just have to do it and get it done. Um, I went and bought windows and doors. Originally, I had made a door. Um, like I built this mezzanine, and then I decided I want to put an office in one part of the mezzanine. So I decided, well, it's got to have a door, and I'll have a little window in there. So I had made a window and I had made a door, and I wasn't really that happy with them. And I don't know for what reason I ended up at a Hobby Lobby. It was at a Hobby Lobby. I think my wife was doing something for her doll business, and we had gone to Hobby Lobby. And I wandered over into the dollhouse section, which I typically do because you can always find cool little scale things in there for our trucks. And while I was there, I noticed they got all these pre-made windows and doors, and man, I don't have to. So yeah, I spent like $30 on windows and doors for my scale garage that I was originally like, oh yeah, I'll spend like $20 or $30 on it, and I'll make a cool little scale garage. I mean, cool, like, yeah. I think I'm well over $200 in my scale garage now, and it's not even done yet. I haven't even actually like bought anything to put inside the scale garage. Like no lift. I made a little workbench, um, and I did buy a tire rack from Amazon for like $12. But yeah, other than that, I have nothing. I have nothing to put inside. I have the scale garage, but I have nothing to put in there that makes it look like a scale garage. So, and I've already spent all this freaking money. I did the same thing with my SCX24. I was just going to get the SCX24, and I was just going to play with it, and I was just going to have fun. I'd upgrade the tires. Well, I'll upgrade the tires. Yep. I got links. I have like 4 pairs of shocks for that damn thing now. Links, wheels and tires. What else did I get for that thing? The steering. I got a new steering servo for it. Yes, exactly. It snowballs. I think that's the case with anything with RC cars. It always snowballs. As soon as you're like, oh yeah, I'm really happy with that truck. The way that truck is, it's really nice. And then somebody comes out with, hey, we got this thing for the truck there, the new thing, and it's like, oh, I gotta have that now. And yeah, it's amazing. Yes, Cheeky, down the rabbit hole. Yeah, Daniel, I have a list somewhere of 3D printed parts that I need to get. I have a Toyota LC70 that I originally started working on. Sean's RC is doing the scale build challenge for USTE 2023, where a bunch of us are building scale trucks, and then we're going to go to USTE and have them all together. Now, unfortunately, just so happens that I'm going to be in Arkansas the week of USTE, so I'm definitely not going to be making USTE again this year. But I started working on that truck, and I have a bunch of scale and 3D printed things that I need to do in order to finish it, and I just can't get around to doing it because I have to do a little bit of 3D modeling in order to get inside the engine bay. Is where I have an engine that's gonna go in there, but I'm also gonna be putting my electronics in there. So I got the engine that goes over the motor that'll be in there, and then I'm gonna have all my electronics sort of behind the dashboard. But I need to make like this 3D printed thing that's sort of gonna allow me to sort of have a section of inner fender there where the motor and everything will be able to mount to and rest on, and fill up the engine bay a little bit so that it looks scale. And then I'm going to do some styrene in there to finish out the inner fenders. And I literally can't get around to doing the 3D modeling of it, and just driving me crazy because I've been working on that truck for 8 months, and I got like a whole bunch of it done in the first 2 or 3 months, and then just little bits and pieces of it over the last few months. Just one little thing here, one little thing there, and I keep distracting myself. Um, like I got the Phoenix, which the Phoenix is nice. Don't get me wrong. I like it. It's a great truck, and I've had it out a couple of times, and it's a lot of fun to drive. It's super super good performer. Um, and the coolest part about that whole truck is that transmission. The way Vanquish made the overdrive and the dig all built into the transmission, really super cool, but so freaking complicated. I have joked with Harley a couple of times in his Friday night stream, and even in a couple of his other live streams where, you know, man, that thing is complicated. You could tell that an engineer went to town on that thing because you got everything in there that you wanted, but you did make it super tricky. And hey, Robert, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, my friend. Have a good rest of your day at work. It's got to be morning time still for you because you're going to be on Pacific time, I believe, or maybe even an hour before Pacific time. But yeah, thank you, Robert, for coming in. I'm probably going to stay on for another 15 minutes or so. Um, Man, thank you guys all so much for coming in. Um, totally, totally unexpected. I didn't actually expect to see very many people come in, if anybody at all, because this was literally, I was out here farting around doing some laundry earlier, and it just came to me like, hey, you know what? I'm kind of slow with work right now, so I might just throw up a live stream and hang out. And I was just going to be over there working on my work computer and whatnot, and I'd turn around every once in a while. But I was literally only on for like 30 seconds before the first couple of you joined in. So totally cool, totally cool, totally excited to be back doing a live show. I always had a good time doing the Monday night lives. With the Operation 11 Charlie guys. Always had a ton of fun doing the Steve-O shows on Friday nights. Those were an absolute blast. And yeah, had a lot of fun doing tank show as well. So yeah, I thought this, doing this every week and just hanging out with everybody and shooting the shit about whatever would be a lot of fun. So appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out with me for a bit, especially a random Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you, Robert. Have a good one. We'll see you next time. I'm I will post a post on my YouTube channel once I kind of figure out maybe a schedule when I'm going to do this. I'll post up when I'm going to do it, but chances are probably for the next several of these, I'm probably just going to pop on at random times, um, hang out for an hour or so, see how everything goes, and then after a while, figure out when. Absolutely, Daniel. I'd love to do a collab show. I had mentioned it earlier that um, what do we got? What do we got? Yeah, work stuff. Yeah, pesky work interfering with fun. Yeah, I would love to do a collab. I was actually saying that at some point I would like to set up so that uh, we can definitely do a hangout where I get people to come in and hang out, and we can just talk about RC, talk about whatever, hang out and just have some fun. Yeah, kind of like today where I just kind of been rambling for the last 45 minutes now. Um, and I know that I am going to have to cut it off because I can hear what appears to be the washing machine is going to start making some racket in here. um, but yeah, totally. I will reach out to you, Daniel, at some point and get something set up. I am not even sure because I know this I just did through like the YouTube studio thing where they allow you to just go live. Um, I got to figure out how to get multiple people into a single live stream. Um, I did have some software before where I could post up different windows on the screen and go through and do live, but I have long since forgotten how to do that. And I know Zoom is kind of a pain in the neck um, going live with it, but I do believe out of all of them that multiple people Zoom was probably the easiest to do, um, like StreamYard and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I need to look into that because I know I talked to JB the voice about doing this. I was originally just gonna like make some kind of random videos talking about things, and I had a conversation with my wife, and she was like, "Man, why don't you just go live? Do a live show, and then you can hang out and talk with people and talk to people in the chat, and then you can have people come on the live show." And um, I was kind of think of it as kind of a throwback to the old Steve OD shows where we just get a bunch of people hanging out and we can talk about anything and everything. Nothing is off limits. Everything is it's a free for all here. Kind of like my Facebook group. If you're not a member of or you haven't joined the Facebook group, Stickies RC Adventures, you can go over there, join in. That Facebook group is a free for all. Nobody really monitors that thing, so you pretty much the only rule to is try to keep it family friendly and try to keep it remotely RC related. Other than that, I don't care. I think everybody gets too uptight about Facebook groups and people posting things, and I don't say whatever you want. You know, we're people are way too PC nowadays and worried about cancel culture and whatnot. I don't care. Nobody's nobody's gonna get canceled or nobody's gonna get in trouble uh, for what you say here. Um, or what you post in the Facebook group. If you got a YouTube channel, go in there and share your videos in there. I was just talking to my buddy who I started Stickies racing with um, many years ago. Um, he and I started racing. Going 1977, I moved in next to him, my best friend, and got to run. Hey, thank you, Daniel. Yeah, I will. I will reach out to you soon, Daniel, and try to get something hooked up after you get back into the States to get you on and get you on the live stream and hang out and do some chatting. But yeah, talking to my buddy that I started Stickies racing with way back in the olden days, um, and talking about just how things are in the RC community, and he's got RC cars. He still lives in California. Um, Sweet Cheeky, hey Frank the Tank, good to see you, my friend. I was just talking to everybody about the good old days of me being on live streams, Steve O'D's days, the Frank's shows, live shows, which are always a lot of fun. Yeah, just life in general got me too busy. But anyhow, we were talking about the RC community and just how people they get real sticky about YouTubers and posting crap in their Facebook groups and social media and all of that. And it's like, yeah, I was like, man, I'm gonna throw this up a group here, and everybody can do whatever they want. Post your videos, if you want to go in there and rant about, you bought an RC car and turned out to be a piece of junk. Go in there and tell everybody, bought this damn thing and it's, the thing fell apart, and they got in touch with their customer service and they were jackasses, and yeah. And this live show will be basically the same thing. It's just free for all. You can come in here and post whatever you want in the chat. And yeah, Frank, I would love to. 9:30 Eastern time. I was actually talking about earlier. I get up at 4:30 in the morning, and one of these Thursday nights, I am gonna jump in there and hang out for a half hour or so, and because I do miss chatting with everybody out there. That's why I'm doing this today. I missed being able to chat with everybody. It's been several months since I have departed from the group I was with over at Operation 11 Charlie. And I haven't really done much as far as making content, and mostly that has just been because it's in an absolute madhouse. I have a normal 9 to 5 job that I work here in my office at home. Then I also have a side business that I work on here at home. Then my wife also has a side business that she works on here at home. And between those things and trying to maintain the property here that we moved onto, we got on top of a hill here about an acre and a half. And coming from California, where we basically just had enough property where a house was on. Yeah, keeping up with everything here has just been kept me super busy. Exactly, Frank. Life gets in the way of having fun all the time, and that's really just what ended up happening here. We moved to Tennessee, and we had to get out of California. It was just no question. California things were going crazy there. After the whole pandemic nonsense and the crazy lockdowns, and people in California just keep getting crazier and crazier about things. Yeah, just one of those things that we were like, hey, you know what? We need to get the hell out of there. So yeah, we ended up moving here to Tennessee, and it was crazy We started looking for houses last year, like the last week or so of September, and we ended up moving in, like, we left California like November 16th or November 15th. So like over the course of a month and a couple weeks, um, we started looking, we found a house, we put it in an offer, we bought the house, and then we moved to California. And not not the smartest way to go about moving across the country. I would say you take your time. If you plan on doing that, take your time, and plan it out, and don't fly by the seat of your pants, kind of thing. Uh, we did that, and it it some parts of it went great, some parts of it didn't go great at all. Like our movers took 2 months to get from California to Tennessee, which I drove from California to Tennessee in 3 days. So we got here and we lived here in our new house for like a month and a half with only what we had brought with us driving across country, which was basically whatever could fit in the little cubby space of motorhome and in the master bedroom of the motorhome, because we filled the back of the motorhome up with just random stuff. There wasn't any space for us to sleep in there. I carved out enough space for me to sleep in there for a few hours every night and every afternoon. But my wife slept on the couch. My daughter slept in the little spot up above the cab. But yeah, in all of that, I wouldn't change a thing. The only thing I would change is I would have gotten a different mover. That I would have. If I could go back in time, I would definitely hire a different mover because they sucked. Brooklyn Moving Incorporated, the worst moving company on the planet. Not afraid to say that live on YouTube. Uh, is it just like life gets in the way of having fun? So does work. Work gets in the way of having fun. Although I love my job. I have a great job working for Ream Manufacturing, air conditioning, heaters, and whatnot. Truly a wonderful company. Very thankful that um, I managed to land the job with them, especially being able to work from home. And they are very considerate of your time. Um, it's in your work life balance is very important to them. So like for right now, for instance, I can go on and do a live stream. And I'm basically clocked out from work. There wasn't much going on there anyhow, but I got a whole bunch of personal time where I can just incrementally throw hours into my punch in and punch out time during the week. If I need to go to the grocery store or something, they're like, hey, clock yourself out, go to the grocery store, do what you got to do, and then come back. Or, if you have a family of deer that are, crapping all over your front yard right now and you need to go outside and chase them off, you can go do that. So very thankful, very happy that I got to work for me. Um, I already forgot what I was talking about before, but that's how live goes. You never know what's going on. And I got a whole bunch of crap going on up in my head right now. So, um, but I think I am going to end this live stream. Thank you so much to everybody for coming in and hanging out with me for an hour here. I am definitely going to keep doing this um, every week, because I do like being able to hang out with everybody. I love being able to read the chat. Um, so keep that in mind. Right now, let's say next week, Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern time, I will be back to do another live. So if you got anything that you want to ask, or you got anything you want to throw out there, or you got anything you want to talk about, write down and bring it up, and we will absolutely talk about it next week. And like I said, this is an everything show. We talk about whatever you want. It doesn't have to be RC related. You got something that drove you nuts out there. Yeah, bring it up. Talking about things a lot of times is good therapy. And so, again, thank you all very much for coming in and hanging out. And yeah, we'll see you again real soon in a week. Take care.